Being a spy was a dangerous job. You had to be clever and stay under the radar, all while gaining as much intelligence as you could. The job either ended in heroism or death on the gallows, and the American Revolution had its fair share of spies. Today, we'll be discussing the history and the stories of some of the most famous spies during the American Revolution. Colonists first settled in what is now America in 1607, when the colony of Jamestown was founded. Not too long later, the Mayflower landed in Plymouth, Massachusetts, bringing pilgrims to the unknown land. In North America, soon the 41 men aboard signed the Mayflower Compact. It was the first form of self-government in the New World. It was the start of a new country. After a while, the colonists began to detest the British rule. After Britain won the 7 Years' War, they needed money, so they began taxing the colonists. The colonists didn't approve of this, but they had no voice in British Parliament. And before you know it, the first shots were fired at the battles of Lexington and Concord. Spies were very useful during the war. The British didn't have a hard time finding spies to work for them, since they had the largest navy in the world and the fact that many of the colonists were loyalists. But the Americans had their spies as well, and if it weren't for the Patriot spies, the colonists might not have defeated the British. A spy's job was to gather as much intel as they could. American spies worked behind enemy lines to try and gather intel on troop movement and battle plans. One famous spy was Nathan Hale. Hale was born on June 6, 1755, in Coventry, Connecticut. He attended Yale and became a schoolteacher. When he heard about the upcoming war, he joined the Connecticut Regiment. He served in Boston and became a captain. He then went to New York, and it said he was part of the capture of a British provision ship. He was captured on September 12, 1776, while returning to his regiment. He was hung the very next day. Hale is regarded as a national hero for his heroism. A British officer who witnessed his execution wrote, "He behaved with great composure and resolution, saying that he thought it the duty of every good officer to obey any orders given to him by his commander-in-chief, and desired the spectators to be at all times prepared to meet death in whatever shape it might appear." His last words were, "I only regret that I have but one life to live for my country." Another famous spy was James Lafayette. He was an enslaved African-American who served under Lafayette. He worked as a double agent, posing as a runaway slave to the British, where he gathered valuable intel, then reported back to his officers. He spied on Benedict Arnold, who switched sides of the British. James played a very important role in the independence of America and is regarded as a hero. Women also played a role in America's independence. Anna Smith was born on April 14, 1740. After her husband was arrested and confined to a British ship, she was alone in her house. Her duty was to inform Abraham Woodhull, leader of the Long Island Spies, of Caleb Brewster's arrival, a spy. She hung in clothes in a certain way or pattern, so when Brewster arrived, she hung up a black coat. She is one of the only and most important female spies during the war. The British also had spies. Benedict Arnold, although not a spy, is infamous for switching to the side of the British. At first, Arnold served for Washington and led and fought many of the successful battles. But soon, he began informing the British of American plans and positions. Another famous spy for the British was Anne Bates. Bates was a schoolteacher in Philadelphia. She was a loyalist, and in 1778, she was sent out to be a spy for the British. One of the reasons Bates was so successful is that nobody thought that a woman could understand military matters. Bates, however, was clever and very attentive. In 1778, she gained information about the Continental troops' plans to march to Rhode Island. Espionage obviously played a large role in the American Revolution, and it was used in many more wars to come. Methods to trick spies also began to appear. Invisible ink was used by the revolutionaries to conceal hidden messages. In the end, the revolutionaries defeated the British and declared independence on July 4th, 1776. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, stay tuned for the next one.